There's some additional monies that we all know are shouldn't be used for daily expenses, but there are some additional funds here now. And I think some of those monies could be used to help fix our roads and bridges. Certainly, through my term here, the CHIPS program is very important to counties and local town highway departments, and they received their first increase last year in 5 years. That's a good sign. That means we're putting money where we should. And this year, we gave additional monies because you could see, with such a terrible winter last year, that we needed to put more money in roads and bridges for locals to be able to fix those. So I think that's a start. But I do think there's some additional funds that have come in, and that would be a very good place for them, some of those, to be used.
Gotcha. In the recent months, you've, I guess, been in the news concerning an FBI investigation. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about that. What is your standing on that?
Well, you know, I read about it in the newspapers that I'm part of an FBI investigation, but the only time the FBI ever spoke with me was for about 10 minutes, asked me about a letter that was written to me from a previous supervisor who is under FBI investigation, because we responded back when the supervisor wrote us. It was a 10-minute conversation. I have never had another conversation. So as far as I know, the FBI is not looking at me for anything.
Okay.
It's the awful part of being an elected official.
Okay. And I guess part of that was, I guess, a local developer. Not ringing a bell.
Yeah, so I bought a piece of property.
Yes.
From a local developer.
I have my notes.
Yeah.
I think I dropped it.
Yeah, I read that front page story in the Times-Union about me buying property from a local developer.
Who is under investigation, right?
He is not.
Oh, he's not.
Absolutely not. And I did buy it from him, and I immediately, after reading such an article, thought I had always paid him very fairly, had an independent appraisal done of the property, and I not only paid him fairly for the property, but I paid him $3,000 too much. So you read about yourself on the front page of papers when they don't even really take a look and see whether or not the story has any validity or not.
Okay. Great.
Where do you stand on the governor's energy superhighway, or energy highway that's supposed to cut through Columbia County? And you know, with that, the FERC situation, because they're both kind of trying to do the same thing.
We have been, either myself or a representative has been at most of the meetings. We understand that cutting through the, farmers' fields and closer to people's homes and all of those things that the governor would like to do to bring energy to the city needs to make sure that we meet the needs here in Columbia County. So we have stood up and said that we should not be a speed bump in the governor's energy plan. It should not happen. So we have been standing with the people here, and we have been helping all that we can. There's a couple projects going on. There's one right now in Ghent that's happening. We actually are a party to the action. It's in confidential settlement negotiations at this point. But we have been a party in that action.
And with FERC raising the electric rates to bring energy producers to the state so that we'll have more energy going downstate, how do you feel about it? Because we're waiting.
I think it's very wrong. And I think to have our people pay to bring energy down to others who are in need, and you'll see as the energy goes through, prices change as that happens. And I don't believe that we should be paying for energy that other people need. I think that should be them and not us.
Where do you stand on fracking?
I stand the same place I did 2 years ago. I stand saying that it should be determined by the science. I believe, unfortunately, and I didn't have to say this last time, I think politics is influencing the science. And I believe that we should let DEC, who I believe is premier as the DEC in our nation, let them get their work done and let them make a decision. Stalling a decision because 50% of the people don't like it and the other 50% do, and we have fear of making a decision is not what we are elected to do. And I believe that we should make the decision and we should move on, whatever it is. But if it's safe, I think that we should pilot it. And I think we should start cautiously and carefully, and you don't hear me say this often, but heavily regulated, to make sure that this is done properly. And if it is safe, then I think we're looking at a southern tier in New York State right now that can really use some good paying jobs. And we're looking at a country who can use some energy.
Did you cover the SAFE Act? SAFE Act. Thoughts?
Oh, lots of thoughts on the SAFE Act. It was my first full day of session as a senator in 2013, and I stood up and I used my voice and I used my vote, and I voted no. I said that the process, the message of necessity was wrong. The process of not having enough time to read the bill was wrong. The idea of not having any stakeholders who really know about guns being involved was wrong. And I thought that we didn't know how bad the outcome of this law would truly be. I can fast forward now, and I still say the same thing, but I believe we're finding out how bad it is, and many, many others have joined us. The next morning after that vote, we put a petition online and tried to find out who else might be opposed to this. And within a number of months, we had 130,000 people who had signed our online petition opposed to the SAFE Act. I can't go anywhere without people thanking me for my stand on the SAFE Act. I have put in 2 repeal bills to try to repeal the law. I've spoken to the governor on 2 occasions to try to get him to change his mind and soften this law. I believe that our Second Amendment rights are absolutely being infringed upon. 56 county sheriffs in New York State agree with what I've been saying. They put a resolution to say that they are opposed to the SAFE Act. These are the people that we elect to keep us safe, and they believe that it's wrong. I've spoken with mental health professionals who also believe it is wrong. People who are in need of mental assistance, number one, aren't always dangerous. But number 2, you're keeping them in the shadows by having a law like this, and they need to come and they need to get help. So they're opposed to it. We watched our federal government through the VA say we're not adhering to the mental health provisions in your SAFE Act. This is a very bad law, and now I've watched maybe not millions, thousands of New Yorkers who have not registered their guns. We've made law-abiding citizens criminals, and I think that that's the worst thing that we could have done. Criminals are not going to obey the SAFE Act. They're not going to put 7 bullets in their gun. You're going to come in your home with 7 bullets? They're not. That was one provision through the first court case that has been changed to now you can put 10 rounds in your gun. I joined the Rifle and Pistol Association as a friend of the court in an amicus brief. I was the only legislator to do so. I enjoined that suit. I used our money to do that because I thought that it was that important to me. I want you to know that I have an A+ rating from the NRA, and I have an A, only one of, I believe, 3 senators in New York State who had an A+ rating, and I have an A rating from the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, and I'm only one of 2 senators who received that.
Are you packing?
Never can tell. That's part of the law.
So are there, you said you put in legislation to repeal. Are there good parts, or would you just scrub the whole thing?
Well, two of the bills that we have completely get rid of everything. The first bill that I put in did exactly what you're saying. An attorney on my staff went through that entire bill, and we kept what we believed was good in the bill and got rid of what we thought was wrong. And I can tell you that the gun owners in our state, that was not nearly enough for them. They want it all to go. They believe that it is against their Second Amendment rights. They don't care about the good things that are in it. They want it gone. And now we're hearing about a SAFE Act 2, and it's rumors, and I'm not sure even at this point what people are talking about, but I've heard it now from 3 or 4 different people, and we need to look into that as well.
A Safe Act too.
Safe Act 2, that's what people are telling me. There's something coming around that's a Safe Act 2.
When you were first elected, you defeated Roy McDonald following his vote for gay marriage. If you had to do it all over again, I mean, anything you'd do differently? And you mentioned that the casino was a big issue. That was more for the northern part of the district. I think around here, you know, gay marriage was the big issue.
Well, for me, and I tried very hard to get this point through, and I don't think it was as successful as I wanted to be, but I ran for Senate for a number of reasons. I thought, you know, New York taxed too much, borrowed too much, all the things I've been working on. And it all came down to gay marriage, is how everyone wanted to phrase it, and everyone wanted to talk about it. Certainly I wasn't here for the vote. Certainly some people were very upset. But I can tell you with that vote, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. McDonald, I first want to tell you that. He did an amazing job as a supervisor. We served together. But it was more than a vote. When I would visit with people and they would bring it up with me, it was more of telling people you're going to do one thing and then do something else. At a trust level. Meeting with Bloomberg and having hundreds of thousands of dollars in your campaign account. It was much more than voting yes on gay marriage. Now, of course, he was only one out of 4 Republicans who did vote on gay marriage and voted yes. Everyone else voted no on it. If I had to do it over again, I would still run for the seat. I believe I've been doing a terrific job. As a senator, I have gone sometimes 75 days without a day off. I've been listening to my constituents. I told people I would do listening tours, and I've been out on listening tours, listening to my constituents, what they want. I've continued, for example, with the Golden Gathering for wonderful health care services for people here in Columbia County. And I love what I'm doing, and I'm working very hard at it. And if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would run. I am.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Senator.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I appreciate it.